we've had an opportunity to get together. But recognizing that because of COVID, there has been many stale projects or projects that have not come to fruition, or ideas that basically we have not been able to discuss. However, Lisa does have a pretty optimistic and positive report that she would like to share with us this evening. So, if you all had a copy of the agenda, yeah, yeah, go Leah! Yeah. So, if you all received a copy of the agenda, we're first going to start off with the business development report, and then we will close with Evans. He will give us all around town report on what's happening.
Oh, good.
So, Lisa, the floor is yours.
Hello, my fellow Economic Development Committee members. I'm getting a little silly with my Zoom meeting, so be patient with me. I also have not done a lot of screen sharing, and I have documents I'd like to kind of put up and display to you, so they may not come across as very smooth and organized, but I do have a lot of great info to provide for an update. And so let me just jump right into it and swap over here to a PowerPoint presentation about 129. See if I can do this easily. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice. This is good.
Does it show just the one slide, or are you actually looking at, I don't know.
I can see all of them on the
Slide
left.
deck.
Yeah, why is it doing that?
Mode.
Slideshow from the beginning. Oh, okay.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. So this presentation was provided to the Board of Selectmen. I've been updating them a few times since we last met. And here is some very exciting news. Thermo Fisher has announced that they're taking occupying fully of the 220 Mill Road. It's a very large building. It's one of the more challenging buildings. It's not one of our prime jewels where part of this first floor sits a little bit below the parking lot. It doesn't always show well. It's not in the high visibility area. So this is a real score for the Chelmsford Crossroads because of those challenges, in addition to the obvious that it's a neglected building with lack of amenities, and it's just very blighted and neglected. So having a single occupant come into a building like this that already has existence in the Crossroads. They also have a small location on Alpha Road, I believe. So that location's going to be staying in place. And then they are fully expanding here with 113,000 square feet. You can see currently they're in most of the building, but they did tell me in a phone call a couple weeks ago that their estimate for acquisition and renovation for the building is between $40 million and $60 million into this one location. So that's pretty extraordinary when you think about that in the bigger picture of things, with that volume coming in to one building. And if you have a chance to look at their website, they're very advanced technologies. You may be familiar with them already from years past. I'm still learning, but it's really a proud moment to be able to talk about this and share this good news, because I know it's creating a lot of excitement. And my understanding is that this building is intended to replicate their operation that's currently happening in Tewksbury, I believe. So when you look at the variables here, with it being so empty, being such a challenge, they are, I can't imagine that the building might look anything like it does after you put $60 million into it. So this was an update about a month ago, and they'll be purchasing it in the next few weeks, and we're just getting started on this. So really exciting. I wasn't able to confirm a job creation number here, but again, these will be new, good paying jobs. and it's a great opportunity to promote the Crossroads on initiatives and new initiatives that we're going to be talking about a little bit later in my presentation tonight. So there's that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Lisa, do you know if is part of what they're going to be doing there part of their COVID-19 vaccine research?
You know, I was talking to a corporate real estate person. I haven't really been able to, and now they're unavailable on vacation, so I haven't been able to dig down into those details yet, but I would suspect so in some measure, but I'm not sure what that capacity is, but we'll certainly be learning more as this gets going, and
Yeah.
I'll be giving updates as we move along. But I think it's a great indicator that an existing Crossroads company and a Chelmsford-based business wants to remain in Chelmsford, and I'm sure that they've been looking all over doing their matrix and measurables about what the next best investment is. So this is pretty significant.
Lisa, did they indicate why they wanted to expand in Chelmsford versus doing something else somewhere else?
When speaking with her name was her name was Kristen Enright. So they're very pleased with the town. They're thrilled to be here at this location. They wanted to own and purchase. So I think that was a strong motivator to invest those monies into a community that they're very familiar with and they understand. I wasn't able to validate that due to our new initiatives and the movement that we've been trying to do with the Crossroads played a part. Haven't gotten into those types of conversations yet. I've been trying to not be really strong and forward in my questioning, but taking what they could offer in conversations. So we're getting to the point where I think I can send them a line of questions and get some more info coming back. I'm working now with the Chelmsford Water District. They're trying to learn what the demands are on water and things like that. So we're starting to have those project-related conversations, and these are all great questions, and I don't have the details yet, but I will.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay. So here we go with the other extremely very big news. We are now able to publicly share that the Pressed Cafe has signed a lease, a long-term lease here at 330 Bill Wicker Road. You've seen some of that entryway begin with that renovation to create multi-tenancy in the building. And there's much work that needs to be done by the owner before Pressed Cafe can get in there and do their site work as well. So what you're seeing on the outside is the RMR group doing their part, which will last probably until early spring. They've got significant work to do. This restaurant will have the drive up feature. So there's a lot of site work. And in that same measure, the RMR group is also looking at modernizing their landscaping and their exterior image. They've come forward with us to talk about coordinating. You know, we've been in constant contact with them throughout this time, and they've been very forward in sharing with us that they would like to partner with the Crossroads efforts in coordinating their landscape upgrade along with our marketing efforts that we're about to launch that you'll be hearing about as well. And they did kind of indicate they're open to a funding venture together to help work on signage and other types of identifying markers that you're actually in a business park called the Chelmsford Crossroads at Route 129. So we're about to do some really exciting things this year. And I know that I got a little bit of a funny story. So you can see on my slide here that we were able to offer them an incentive, and part of that, there's other details I'll be sharing with you that gives some update to it. But when I was mailing them their incentive check, I brought it down to the mailroom, and you have to hand your mail in, and they put postage on it, and the clerk saw where the check was going, and she looked at me with these wide eyes, and we're both wearing our mask, and she starts clapping her hands. She's like, "Are we getting a Pressed Cafe in Chelmsford?" So I told Press that it's going to be real hard to keep this news quiet, particularly since I couldn't even mail them their incentive check without creating a little happy dance on the first floor of Town Hall. So they shared with us their logos and things like that, so that we can start using that information as a promotional item to entice more business attraction in the corridor. So we're just getting started. I know this is the building that Triton Systems is expanding into. So they are a life science company taking up a large portion of the building. And then the Press Cafe will be in there on the first floor in the front right corner is my understanding. So that's very exciting news. Happy to share that with everybody. It's been a long time coming.
Good. That's
Lisa,
wonderful.
If I can just interrupt, Lisa, that's fantastic news, and congratulations to you and Evan for making this happen for Chelmsford. This is a tremendous feather in our cap, and just what we
Absolutely.
had always been talked about, and hopefully this will be what will jumpstart 129. Congratulations.
Thank
People
you.
have to eat.
I do think that a lot of Evan's work with that zoning a few years back, those overlay districts are significant.
Yep.
And the drive-through, I think, was one of those cinchers that really, mattered. And once we kind of dangled that incentive grant in there, they expedited their signing of the lease, and we were able to finalize that documentation and release that incentive. So I'm hearing from our surrounding neighbors that are trying to get zoning changes through. They're very frustrated, but it seems that, there's a 2 or 3 year wait time when you change zoning, before you actually see success and, forward momentum from modernized zoning. So that's a little bit what we're experiencing on the crossroads.
Just congratulations. This is phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can say Press Cafe at our meeting, right, when I report.
Yes.
So exciting. The other thing is, this is wonderful because I know Thermo Fisher. They've been my client, so I know who they are. And they're multinational. They're multi-platform. Like, they have tons of products that they do. It's both technology and some of the life sciences type of things too. So this is absolutely just phenomenal. Press Cafe is such a great thing. And what was the name of the company that's part of this building?
The RMR Group. They own.
RMR. Okay.
Yeah, RMR. They own both those buildings, 300 Billerica and 330 Billerica. So they're actually our major stakeholder. Everybody else owns a single building. So they're, I don't want to say the most important, but they are pivotal because they're highly visible and they control a lot of real estate out there with 2 empty buildings. And so we've been talking with them regularly. And I think with what we'll talk about in a few more moments about the marketing, just being able to promote that Thermo Fisher is in our park, and DCU and Comcast and Zoll. It's, you don't know that when you're just driving down Billerica Road. So once we have a coordinated marketing plan and some signage, whatever that may look like, will be determined. But I think some of that advertising is going to go a long way to bringing on more very impressive and reputable companies coming into our empty space.
Does Thermo know that Press Cafe is going to be in this area?
Does who know that?
Thermo.
I don't think so, because we just heard from Prest maybe I don't know, maybe Donald could confirm. When they sent us their logo, was that less than a week ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting because they're in Burlington, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in New Hampshire.
And in New Hampshire, right? So the other thing I'm getting all excited about is the people who work for these companies, which means that, you know, you could get a lot of really potentially great buyers for real estate in our town, as well as students for our schools. This is great.
Yes. And as part of my update, which I don't have anything written, but we have gotten contact by another food entity that's interested in 300 Bill Ricker Road, which is the next door building. And I learned that they are in a surrounding town, but they're currently providing a lot of catering to all of our businesses in the Crossroads. And now we have a meeting with them tomorrow to talk about what their proposed project would look like for the building next door.
That's awesome.
So it's already starting to catch on.
By the way, it stinks to be Westford right now. No drive-throughs for their food places.
Exactly.
Oh,
Right?
Some
Yeah,
road.
it's hard.
Mhm.
yeah. You try to do the best you can in that decision-making process and how, I don't know, but, you know, we limited ours to 3 drive-throughs. I think that was very smart. And it's just it'll be the right combination of what the park needs.
Mhm.
So, pretty exciting.
So Lisa, before you press on,
Yep.
get that press cafe. No, before you move on, Michael Kwalik just asked if there's any further discussion regarding breweries.
So I have a separate update, which you'll see, and we can go into the business entity incentive grant. And I don't have any current breweries looking, but we can talk about the others that we were trying to work with in the past and how we needed to reapproach on the business amenity incentive grant. So I have a separate slideshow for that one.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I can't see the chat box while I have my slides up, so.
Yeah, I got you covered. Don't
Thank
you
you.
worry.
Okay, thank you. So here we go, page down. So there's a new bus shelter up. This might not be the most riveting news, but it's pretty important. It's at the corner of Omni Way and Bill Ricker Road. It wasn't the easiest and simplest because you know how these things go, but we talked about it last year and we did a little site walk. I think it was, I don't remember, so long ago, but it was a coordination and the DPW installed that cement pad that you see there. And they did their part. And then the LRTA purchased the bus shelter for us at a cost of about $5,000. And part of this was motivated by the interest to provide a bus shelter for DCF and the families that are using public transportation for meetings and visitation and, you know, strollers and baby carriages and things like that. So I believe the bus shelter is already installed now since I created this slide, but it's just another feature or aspect to the 129 corridor and served by public transportation. And I just kind of wanted to put this out there as a FYI. So there's that. So that's the end of this one. So let me swap over to another file. We'll head over to the business amenity grant here. This little thing at the top gets in your way and then you can't click these buttons if you guys have ever done this. Not fun. Okay, so we're all very familiar with Business Amenity Incentive Grant. This was an excellent opportunity for us, and we did what we thought was the best approach to helping the most common issue in the park of having no amenities and why businesses were specifically telling us that they were leaving because there's no place to get food or service. And also the challenge of how to attract more businesses into our climbing amount of empty space. So this was a great opportunity. And here's a really quick summary. We sent out letters to the 2 brewery applications, the 2 restaurant applications, and then COVID arrived and everything ended up upside down and inside out. So we had 2 potential brewers, but neither of them were able to secure a lease agreement. We tried our best to work with them. The 2 restaurants we were working with, one of them couldn't get that lease agreement signed. Combination of things that they started to kind of be cautious and concerned about making such a commitment with COVID and what the future looked like, and entrepreneurial startups and stability and investment and all of those things came into the conversation. So we thought best to redirect the money, the significant amount of money, and we weren't getting any engagement or responses from any of the applicants at all. I was sending emails and just everything went crickets and quiet. So we decided to, and in the announcement of this grant money, we had explained that if the town felt the need to, we had the opportunity to move in a different direction, and that's what we did. So we still pursued business amenity with Press Cafe. We thought that that would be a very significant motivator moving forward to secure that. And we offered them $100,000 to secure that project there, and it was enough. But not that I don't know their whole budget for the Press Cafe, but I do know because of our requirements, I saw the listing of their kitchen equipment, which is what the grant was to pay for kitchen equipment or kitchen fit up, because that creates some longevity of a restaurant infrastructure. Should an entity not make it, then that infrastructure would be there for someone else to give it a try or another restaurant to move in. So I saw the Press Cafe infrastructure, and their kitchen equipment alone was $500,000 just for all the hardware to bring in to fit up their restaurant. You just can't even imagine the list. I think it was 30 pages equaling $493,000. So our 100,000 didn't sound like a lot in some terms, but it was enough to help them make a move and commit to that space. So we were very happy that we got more aggressive in those conversations. We were running out of time. The money was expiring and we weren't going to lose it. So we had to put a hard stop on that. And so they signed the lease, and we have a copy and all that. So it was really a little bit of a stressful experience, but we got there. And so this is a little bit how we got through this history of the grant. So I'm sorry, I forgot I had this slide here. So we redirected, we offered the incentive, and the other portion of the grant, the other $100,000, we went into an agreement with Camoin. Again, they were the economic development firm that we hired for the site readiness grant, and the town was very pleased with the work they did. And equally important is that the owners and occupants and stakeholders of Route 129 were very pleased with Camoin, and we thought it would be a great way to use that to our advantage in going back out into the corridor and re-engaging with those property owners towards a marketing effort. So we have a very extensive contract with a lot of tasks and assignments, all of them focused on promoting and marketing and advertising and creating a business attraction effort in that park to just catapult the Crossroads into a new level of competitiveness with the help of Camoin. And so they are contracted for the other $100,000. And that money is also including the physical requirements for signage, possibly or more than likely an electronic sign we've discussed, but we're still going to be expecting or seeking some contributions from those global or international or large corporations out there to help us keep going. And what that looks like very specifically, I don't have that prepared yet. I am talking with Camoin, Evan and Donald and I, Paul Cohen, we're talking with Camoin, and we are preparing a kickoff event. It'll be a public meeting, but focused on those major decision makers and stakeholders on 129. So we've targeted Wednesday, July 22nd at 10 a.m. The invite is still being put together, but if you want to pencil that down, that'll be the kickoff event to this pursuit of promoting the Crossroads in a more marketing perspective. And I'm not sure if Evan has anything to add to that, or Donald. I know you've had some conversations with me and joining with Camoin.
Yeah, I would say the highlight of the Camoin process, starting on that July meeting, is to explore public-private partnerships. Where is the interest on the private sector side to partner with us? Maybe it's branding and marketing, maybe it's physical improvements such as signage, but it could also be programmatic items such as recruitment of particular business sectors.
Very exciting stuff. It's pretty much everything that we have on our wish list. And if you were to revisit the 8 recommendations that came from the Site Readiness Grant, top of the list was to land a secure signature project, a signature development, which I think is going to be, we've already got many to choose from. We've got Thermo Fisher, we've got Press Cafe, we've got Triton Systems, and there's a lot more happening out there as well. So we're well on our way, and it's pretty exciting. But we'll be sharing more details as we get that more organized as well. So, okay. So that's that. Let's see. And let's see what else I've got here. Okay, so why do I have, let's see what I'm sorry if I open up the, oh, it looks like I have the same file open twice. Okay, so let's start with this. I think I might have mentioned, oh, the other one's not closed yet. Are you able to see this?
Yeah.
Okay, do you see the other thing underlying? Is that what happened? Okay, we'll just deal with it, I guess. Let me see if I can, no, I can't do that. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. How do I close this stuff off my screen? I can't right click it. I can't actually close it. I'm just toggling between my files. I apologize. Hold on. Oh, okay. I can't minimize my screen either. Okay, we're gonna have to deal with it, I guess. Little snafu. Okay, well, anyways, I'll talk to this a little bit. So you may have heard that Chelmsford was one of the very few communities that received a grant from the Attorney General's office. This announcement came out late on a Friday night at 5 o'clock, right when the pandemic happened. It was like the first week of April, something like that. And I was, you know, crazily looking at emails constantly, and I saw the message came in, and we got an application in the next morning. So 12 communities received funding in the state, and we are one of them. We're expecting $35,000, and the town wishes to use this money to help small businesses with reopening and marketing, because they have been significantly set back, and it's been pretty devastating for the smaller businesses to survive and make a comeback. So we've talked about how to create some limitations of this. So these are the eligible requirements. If I had more money, we'd love to give it out to everybody, but we only have a limited amount of funds. So we've kind of tried to focus it down on the smaller entities. And these are the requirements: to have an actual physical location, have a valid business certificate, W-9, and 20 employees or less. So what we're expecting to do is provide a live link on our front page or on our website for the town that small businesses will be able to click on and request funding. The approach is, because there's not a lot of money, we've talked about this in several different perspectives, and it's so difficult because you know there's just not enough money, and we have an abundance of small businesses. So it came down to the idea of offering $1,000 to each applicant. Each applicant would use that money towards marketing and promoting upon their reopening. Part of that reasoning is that the landlords or whomever should maybe renegotiating rent or redistributing some of that existing debt. We didn't want to use the funds to pay back utility bills, or, you know, it's a tough call to know if a small business is going to make it, and then if we award funds and they don't reopen. So we're trying to support those that are able to reopen with a stronger start and getting back up into the economy was the thought. So I'm open to hearing suggestions. We haven't received the funding yet. This seemed to be the best approach for helping, you know, I don't want to say the strongest businesses, but the ones that kind of have survived and weathered the storm, if you will, and to help with the cost of marketing. It's really expensive, even on Facebook, sponsored ads and things like that. So we've had many conversations. This is what we've come up with, but I certainly am open to thoughts and ideas. And we're hoping to get this out. The announcement was made. We've been chosen, and we're just in a waiting pattern for the money to come in so that we can redistribute it immediately. Any thoughts or comments on it? Okay, I'm not quite sure why Chelmsford was chosen. You know, it was a statewide grant. We responded with, you know, a great direct and straightforward. We tried to replicate relief funding that was coming out. So we're pretty excited to get this money, and it'll definitely be helpful as soon as we receive it. So I'm working on that.
Lisa, did you consult with any of our legislators? Did they help at all?
Actually, no, because you saw my frantic emails came out. I was really desperately trying to understand a good, reliable number of what we have for small businesses in that range of 20 people or less. I was trying to gauge our vacancy rate. I was trying to gauge our density. I was trying to put a lot of I don't know, the word escapes me, but, you know, I was trying to put a lot of validation into our grant application, and it worked. So I didn't really look back. I didn't look back, and, you know, I'm just looking forward for the funding. I didn't really feel like I had time to go and get letters of support. I thought this was going to be a money grab. You got 350 communities trying to grab at money. And I thought a little bit, you know, the first one in or first few in are those that are maybe more organized and prepared and ready to go. I know that a surrounding town was kind of still trying to get their application in 3 weeks later, and they were trying to go for sign and facade money. So I didn't think that that was this goal for this money, and it was more of like a crisis response emergency funding. So now that that's kind of dragging on, I think our best bet is to help them with promoting themselves and advertising, or using the money to do a special, you know, 20% off or a giveaway, things like that.
Have you reached out to the CBA at all?
I know that, not specifically, but I've been emailing the CBA board members.
Yeah.
And I somewhat am under the assumption that they're sharing it with the membership when these opportunities are becoming available. But the thought was, when we're ready and the money's in hand, we would do a consistent saturation of advertisement through a news flash, a press release, an email, Lowell Sun, Chelmsford Independent, and just kind of put it out evenly through all of those avenues of public announcements and free avenues of info.
Sure. When that time comes, Lisa, make sure that the CBA gets one and they can put it in their newsletter.
Yeah.
Peter, does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Lisa, who were some of the other communities who got this grant?
Oh boy.
It's fine. I was just wondering.
You can Google it. I'm sorry I don't have the list, but I do know that it's I think it's $500,000 in total for the pot of money.
Yep.
4 planning commissions received a bunch of it, and I think that was more for emergency response. And then 12 municipalities received funding. I asked for 50, the largest, I asked for 50, the largest you could get per community, and we got 35. So I'm sorry I don't have the list, but you could Google that, and I could also email it to you tomorrow.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, I was so happy. Yeah, I was so happy with that.
Great job.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So my little cheat sheet here.
He's on the ball.
I'm doing some other work. A little bit aside from business development. I'm drawn to economic development types of projects. So I've been helping. Okay, so I lost something here. Hold on. Here we go. I'm sorry if I can't close these other windows. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm offering a little bit of support for Chelmsford Telemedia. They're going to be putting out a short film festival. They do this every year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but they're having a little more challenge with COVID. So typically this is at the CCA, and now they're doing this as a drive-in. You can see the date and time has been announced. They just started promoting and advertising. So I'm providing a little bit of support in the terms of securing some food trucks for this, and we'll see where this goes. But it's a fun thing if you want to note it on your calendar and share this out. FYI, this is happening at the end of next month. So.
And where is it going to be located?
It's at the Chelmsford High School parking lot. Maybe Maria has more exact, but there's a map. I've got a little map. I don't have it loaded up here, but it's in the student parking lot at the high school. So they're encouraging to bring, I think it's a canned item or canned goods, to have it also be a food drive for the food pantry.
Okay, so this is going to be nice because the parking lot as you guys probably know, the parking lot is going to be in great shape. Public Works has been they've been working very hard at this, and it's starting to look really great. The expansion of it and getting some more parking over there and so on at the front, but also on the drive down. So I think it's going to be very nice.
Yeah, I think it's going to actually be one of those feel-good types of things that, you know, we're actually emerging from the pandemic and regain a little normalcy. And, you know, I think they did a great job pivoting this event, and it's getting a lot of excitement, and it still maintains distancing and safety and public safety. So I, you know, looks like it's going to be a great success to me, but I'm providing some support as well, and you can help share it out. So we're working on that.
The drive-in for this event is a pretty cool idea, but if you ever seen this short film that the CTM does, you don't want to miss this. Very creative, very creative.
Yeah. I think they're selling tickets, 100 cars, pre-sale. So if you're interested, buy your tickets soon.
How many people in a car, Lisa?
Yeah.
$10 a car load.
Only had that minivan still,
There you go.
right? Okay. Looks like I'm missing a file here. Looks like I didn't load it up, but I'll just chat about it here for a second. So, you know that I've been working on the age-friendly effort, and we have begun taking the first steps towards the age-friendly pocket park, and I did a brief presentation of an update just to kind of say we're going to dust this off and get it going. And what that means is site work by the DPW, an agreement for the landscaping plan. We're talking about the traffic island, I call it a traffic island, in front of Blake's funeral home. And what happened was, in that triangle, once they upgraded the bridge and added that traffic light and some other public safety measures, they were concerned about cars coming off and trying to skip the light or do some kind of workaround, and they'd come off that off-ramp and go to the right and then take that little shortcut in front of Blake Funeral Home and then do a U-turn and loop around and try to beat traffic that way. So DPW decided that they're taking that roadway out. They're removing that roadway in front of Blake Funeral Home. There'll be no more pavement there. So that triangle traffic island that you see is going to be joined in with the Blake Funeral Home landscaping, but it still be a municipal owned parcel. So when this age-friendly park idea came together, it was kind of pointed in that direction because it'll be undergoing a lot of change, and it's a visible parcel, and it's not looking so good right now. And so we've been talking about it. I'm working with Four Seasons Greenery. They're actually new, and as a new tenant in the Crossroads, they took up an entire building and taken up another building as well on Alpha Road. So they're very excited to be part of this project, and they're helping me with the landscape design. And they provided a sketch, and you know how this goes. So any new initiative takes a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of stops and starts, and it can become frustrating. So here's the first sketch that came out. Obviously now you can't see it, can you?
Oh, you can see it.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the first sketch here, and is that too small? Let me see if I can get it at a decent size. If I can. Well,
So while you're doing that now, so how do people get to Blake's?
yeah. So I just wanted to put this on the screen real quick to say this is the design that's not happening. So we went round and round, and this design came out, and then it was kind of like, you know, it was kind of like one of these moments like, and so we had to start over for different reasons. So it took me a lot to get to that sketch point. and fine. But so I ended up in frustration, and bear with me. So I ended up trying to do my landscape design skills with a million trillion text boxes, and I created this file to help people involved understand what was trying to happen. So Paul and I sat for an hour, and he gave me, he told me all about his vision of what he thought it should be. And then I went off and created this monstrosity. Hopefully you can see it clearly. Let's hope. It just it might hurt your eyes. Okay. So here's what it looks like. You see North Road in the front. Can you see it okay? I don't know how to get rid of this stuff in the background here.
No, we don't see the stuff in the background.
Yeah, it's fine.
You don't? Oh, okay. Oh, good. Okay. So you see my label. So this is actually in Publisher, I think, or I don't know, but these are all boxes and on top of each other and things. So you see North Road, and you see my Blake Funeral Home at the top. So North Road and Worthing Street are still there, and people will access the driveway as you see leading into Blake Funeral Home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, so this is my version of how Paul explained it. This is just a very rudimentary, just a really rough point to help those involved understand the image. And now I'm working towards getting this depiction in a professional rendering with the landscape architect. So you can see there's only one entrance and exit, and there's a sidewalk on two sides. I don't know if there'll be a walkway. I'm assuming there will be. I don't know that part yet, coming out of the driveway, or just, but there'll be a sidewalk and an entrance. If you see that on the left side, there's an entrance and exit, and those little dotted lines are trying to be a walking path through the space. It's actually a pretty good amount of space. Once you take out that roadway, it's a pretty big space. And so the idea is for the landscaping to be, when it reaches maturity, there'll be a little walking path, and it has to be handicap accessible. We're trying to minimize maintenance and lawn mowing and, attention to the plantings. So the thought is to create it as a tampered surface, either tampered stone dust or something packed down where wheelchairs and walkers can move along with it. But certainly, we won't be clearing it in wintertime and things like that. But for controlling expenses and handicap accessibility, that'll be some type of walking path or an opening type of thing. It's been very mindful with Blake because they have a beautiful landscaping plan and image and meticulous presentation. So this park will have to complement and include similar plantings so that they look connected and not like they don't belong near each other. You won't really see signage about age-friendly Chelmsford till you walk into the little space. It's not going to be a sign that you see driving by. It'll just look like a beautification project of a pocket park. Pocket Park is a municipal-owned, underutilized small space. So you won't really understand unless you choose to kind of walk into the space. And Blake is certainly welcome and aware that random people may park with curiosity to go in and see what it's all about, or likely people that are using or needing the services from Blake Funeral Home will likely walk down for reflection or fresh air or something like that. But it's meant to be an uplifting, inclusive, age-friendly type of project. So the plantings, those are just my shapes to show different types of variations of heights and sizes and colors. There's no specific theme to it. Mostly the idea of a lot of vibrant color, something always in bloom of varying heights. That other hand sketch includes a lot of heirloom type of plants that will complement with Blake landscaping plan as well. There won't be like a delineation between the properties, but it'll be like a gradual blending. Paul and I thought that those two benches facing in those directions, once when you first enter the park to sit, and then the other where you're looking out over into the park and not against the roadway or not staring at the roadway type of thing. So this is just one approach. I am still working on refining it a little bit, and the current sponsor, the sponsor for this is Trinity Ambulance. They have agreed to help pay for landscape design and architecture. And once we understand that, then we have more of an approach for cost and budgeting and sponsorship and involvement and where all of that money is going to come from. So that's where I'm at with this.
So there's an existing tree in this area that's coming out.
Yes. So right now the flagpole, pretty much that space is going to be wiped clean. The granite posts and the split rail. So the granite posts are going to be reused. You can see if you look closer enough, my black little dots with the lines connecting. There'll be another split rail in there, but it'll be more modern, similar to what the Parley Farm did up in Kate's Corner. If you want to take a drive by there, it is weather resistant and weather strong rails with the granite post. So it won't look like it does currently at that park where it's all chipped and peeling and it needs to be scraped and painted every season. It won't be anything like that, but we are reusing those granite posts. And the idea of the grass border before the sidewalk or aside from the sidewalk prevents bark mulch from gravitating out during a heavy rain or during a shifting, so that there'll always be a clean edge on that sidewalk. And the grass border is agreeable for the rider mower, that Blake Funeral Home. So they are coming forward with offering to extend their irrigation system into this park, as well as using their some of their maintenance services to keep this age-friendly pocket park as presentable as their property. As you know what I'm trying to say? Not as it's their property, but clean and maintained and always looking the best it can with the grass and the watering and things like that. So there's that. Okay, so let me stop sharing that. Okay, so something else I wanted to try to share, and not sure how I can do this. Well, I guess I'll just talk about it. I'm going to type something in the chat box here. So if you feel free in your spare time, I've been working on this other project here. So here's a website I'm going to send everyone. So I've been working on a TV show called The Queue. And the goal was, while I was remote here in my home in Sterling, I was trying to figure out how to stay connected with the community of Chelmsford. So we came up with a format of a TV show that's more about a talk show, and we talk about questions, and that's where the Q comes from. And we were talking about questions that were coming up during the quarantine. And so we did that, and that link that I sent is the whole collection of all of the Q shows. I think we've done 15 or 12 of them, something like that. And I tried to cancel it at one point, but Chelmsford Telemedia likes my viewership. Sometimes we've got quite a good showing. And over time, we've kind of not perfected, but we've learned how to manage this a little bit better. So there's 4 hosts, myself, my coworker, Jen Melanson at Town Hall. And then what started this was Visiting Angels of Chelmsford. We were talking about all the questions of elderly isolation. So she's one of the hosts, and she's just very worldly knowledgeable. She's a Chelmsford resident. She owns a business in Chelmsford. And then also Megan Curran, she's a Chelmsford resident as well, and she's a nutritionist advocate and all of that. So actually Donald came on one of our shows, so you might want to check out that link. But we've had some great connections, and now that the reopening's happening, we're trying to move it towards actual more business development and not necessarily the burning questions of Chelmsford that's happening. So tomorrow I am actually in Trailside Ice Cream is coming on, and we're going to be doing a taste test of ice cream. So we're trying to make it fun. I am also talking to Sterling Corporation. They're our largest moving company in the Crossroads, and they're going to be giving us a tour of their life science moving fleet of vehicles. They have transportation vehicles specific to help companies move biologics and very sensitive materials in controlled environments and temperature and static and things like that. So we're getting towards more involved with interesting video and connections with Chelmsford businesses. And I think, I'm running into the vacation season and the July scheduling, but we're getting there. And we had another great show with the library and how the library is a resource for small businesses and how to research your competitors, how to find out what the consumers are all about in your radius of space for small business and things like that. So there's some good shows out there. Some may be more interesting than others, but we gave it a try and it kind of caught on. So we're going to keep it going. And any of you are welcome to come on the show. We try to make it 20 minutes, and it can be done remotely through Zoom. And we're open to most any topics relating to Chelmsford. But if you want to put that word out, we'd love to keep connected and keep scheduling. We've been doing it weekly. And we're starting to have a little bit of fun with it now. It's not as frazzling and stressful as it was. It helps to be pre-taped, and there's a lot of editing that Chelmsford Telemedia does for us, and you may see that when you watch it. Each of our Wi-Fis is a little sketchy, and we're all dealing with Wi-Fi connectivity, so you may see a little gap for a second or two in the show, but we were keeping it real, and we're going to keep it going. So there's that.
So Lisa, back up for 1 second.
Sure.
Michael was interested in knowing the tickets for the drive-in. Do you know how much they are?
Yep, let me go back to that. I'm pretty sure they are $10 per carload. And there was a link available that didn't end up on this is a little bit of a draft flyer that I popped up here, but there was a link available to purchase tickets. I think it went live, and I'll make a note to share that out to everyone as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Lisa.
Yes. Okay. Just gonna make a note to get that out there. Share link. Okay. All right, so something else I just happened to work on today. So I had a Zoom meeting with Middlesex Community College. They heard that the Crossroads is starting to get interest in the life science industries. And so they would love to promote, they have a certificate program for life science, and they also have an associate's degree for life science. So we're thinking about launching a new initiative as part of the promotion of Crossroads that includes, I don't have all the details, this is just something that's kind of coming together today, but there could be, upon interest, or even for the existing tenants or new interest, a business development support team response. And what that would be is the Middlesex Community College, the Greater Lowell Chamber, Middlesex 3 Coalition, UMass Lowell, Peter Farkas with the Workforce Labor Board, the One Stop Center. We all kind of package ourselves up with a presentation to incoming businesses or inquiring businesses that want to know what the support system is here. But also we know that the existing tenants out there aren't aware of what's available for resources at a bigger level to them. So maybe it wouldn't work for smaller companies that are 20 people, but we were talking about maybe 100+ employee business could use a approach of a presentation. Here's what the Chelmsford response team is here to provide you. And we're starting to organize what that looks like. So that could be another great feature to not only just the Crossroads, but to the entire business community for Chelmsford. So that was kind of coming together today. And I think that kind of captures it. I know there's a bunch of little things sprinkled in there. Evan and I have been doing a lot of things together to do outreach to businesses. I think you are hopefully all getting my emails that I send out. I get excellent responses from those businesses. I stopped into Center Sports today for something, and they were like, thank you for sending me all those emails. And, you know, I'm on the other side, you know, our inboxes are filling up like crazy. And I'm like, I don't even know if this is helpful, if they want it. So I started offering, you know, if you want off my emails, let me know. Feel free to share them. And I get excellent response. And I'm finding that during that initial crisis, the best thing that happened for me was being prepared with my contact database that I've been working on for 3 years of outreach. Overnight, I was able to communicate with 500 businesses in town. And then it kind of went crazy from there. So that's the best thing that they want, is open communication. And I'm just pushing information out and welcoming them to contact me case by case situations, which we've begun doing. The Congresswoman's office, I met with them late last week. So now what they're doing is dealing with the companies that still want disaster relief money but can't get through the application process for different reasons. Why are they declined, or why can't they make it through the documentation, you know, requirements? So we're starting to do a little more one-on-one with them. So a lot of good stuff, and there's, you know, a lot more detail in between. So I'm going to try to hand it over to Evan to kind of fill in additional projects. I forgot to mention Summer Street, and I'm sure Evan can share some of that detail as well.
All right, ready for more?
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Oh, good stuff. Bring it on. Yeah.
So, you know, I will say, I think with the EDC's leadership, much of what Lisa talked about, particularly 129, as far as I'm concerned, was made possible with the leadership of the EDC. And then all the other great stuff Lisa's been talking about is primarily her job description, which again I think was led by the EDC. So as Lisa mentioned, a lot of these things take a number of years to really see the come to fruition and see the results. And I think it's important for the EDC to kind of look back and take ownership of the things that you've accomplished and what you're hearing about this evening. So my update will span kind of town-wide, more on the regulatory and permitting aspects and the projects that have been going on. So in the center village, and some of these you'll be familiar with, the wayfinding signage and street furniture has been installed. If you drive through the center, you'll see gateway signs and some directional signage. You'll see new brick sidewalks, and you'll see some street furniture, benches, bike racks, things of that nature. And that will continue to roll out over the next couple of years with tree grates and tree guards and a couple other features. As it relates to projects, last we met, we were talking about 9 Acton Road. That proponent has essentially walked away from the project. Their vision for a 32-unit condo, single building condo project, they deemed not to be economical for their purposes. The property owner has re-engaged, and they appear to be attempting to attract a townhouse developer that would build individual detached townhouses, and likely a number significantly less than 32. Gristmill 2 is in front of the planning board. If you're familiar with Gristmill 1, that's a 32-unit single building condominium project. Gristmill 2 is proposed to be located at the rear parking lot behind the Santander Bank branch. It is also located behind the Oddfellows building, right in the center. The Oddfellows building is proposed for a 100-seat restaurant and 8 apartments on the 2nd and 3rd floors. That's a historic reuse rehabilitation project. The restaurateur is the same owner as Fishbones, so that's likely to be a high-end, very well-run eating establishment. And the final piece of that project is the restoration of the Fisk House, likely into commercial uses. So as I mentioned, that's currently in front of the Planning Board. It's in front of the Conservation Commission. It's in front of the Historic District Commission, as well as the Historical Commission. And that will likely be ongoing for the next several months. That project has led to a discussion about parking in the center. The Center Village Master Planning Committee, as well as the Planning Board, have conceptually discussed, what is the town's plan for parking management in the center. Some people believe that there's currently a parking problem. Others believe that there will be a parking problem if there isn't one already. Some believe that the town should be more proactive in creating additional municipal parking. So all of this is just a general discussion at this point. I've indicated to the people that are discussing this that several years ago we did a parking utilization supply and demand study as part of the Center Village Master Plan, and I've sent that out to people who are interested. Essentially, at the time, it said that there was not a lack of parking, whether it was public or private. The challenge is that much of the public parking is not exactly where customers and employees want it to be. So this kind of brings us back to the notion of, being a typical suburban environment with a suburban mentality. The notion of parking and walking is fairly foreign, and much of the larger shopping plazas in the downtown have their own big private parking lots. So it's a work in progress with the downtown and the center village, and hopefully with the introduction of people living downtown, walkability will become more of the norm rather than the anomaly. The next update is on North Village. An old project that's currently under construction is 5965 Princeton Drive. That's an 18-unit rental housing. That's tucked in kind of behind the mill that houses a brick house and the 40B that also fronts on Princeton Street. So that's currently under construction. 10 Tech Drive, which is the last vacant undeveloped piece of property in Technology Park. It's the last property on the left as you're heading towards Lowell. That's been on and off the radar screen for the last probably 12 to 18 months. Originally, Lisa and I were engaged in potential hotel development, and it ranged from the typical, into a contractor yard and self-storage. At this point, it's been somewhat silent for an extended period of time. So that likely will reappear at some point in the not too distant future. Just this week, we're getting word that the Vinyl Square craft beer store may be for sale, if not already sold. That kind of took me by surprise. But I throw that out there in case any of you may be more familiar with that.
Any idea why, Evan?
No, I haven't heard anything more than a member of the Vinyl Square Master Planning Committee reported that to me. That person seemed to indicate that it was verifiable, but I haven't done any further outreach on that. The last item in North is the mill, which is across the street from the mill that houses the establishment. Has made an inquiry this week about potentially converting part of that mill to residential. It appears to be connected directly with the fallout with COVID. So we'll be engaging with them. That property is within a commercial overlay, so it may be eligible. We'll have to look a little bit closer into that. But it gives you a kind of an indication of some of the larger buildings, particularly the mills, are likely being harder hit, particularly the mill, which is what it's called. Serves as a kind of a typical mill where it's filled with startups, storage facilities, things of that nature. Businesses that don't necessarily need street front presence and are looking for lower rent. So Lisa and I will re-engage with that property owner. On 129, the last time we were meeting, we were talking about 197 Billerica Road. That was the first retail restaurant amenity project that the planning board approved. We were talking, I think, about it being for sale or in the process of being sold. It has since been sold. And then as prior to COVID, I think we may have reported to you that it was bought by a group that intended to put in a 100-seat Japanese steakhouse, maybe. I think that's what it was at the time. So since then, we've confirmed that it's been sold, but Lisa's efforts to re-engage with the new property owner, I think, have been unsuccessful. So they're essentially MIA at this point. And do you have any further update on that?
Well, I did eventually hear from her. She left the country during the COVID situation. She still plans to move her project forward. The challenge is that she's working through a bank. She has not had to borrow money before. They're typically all cash, and now she's needing to finance. So that's a new added measure unexpectedly, and she was trying to work through that. But I probably spoke with her 4 weeks ago, perhaps, and she was trying to get through financing and lending to start the project. But
So that's a pretty unique challenge. I don't know how you get a commercial loan if you don't have any credit history.
that's the
But
problem.
Possible.
also kind of difficult to project manage when you're completely out of country for an extended period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, kind of the unique story of the backstory of 129. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of unique challenges to overcome, and obviously that may be the next one. Lisa mentioned the fast casual drive-through at 330 Billerica Road. The next step on that will be for that project to appear before the planning board to get their special permit for that drive-through. So I expect to hear from that development team fairly shortly. Moving on from 129, the Route 3 highway interchange market study. If you recall, last time we met, you had reviewed that and provided some comment. That has since gone to the planning board. It went to the Route 40 study committee for comment, the master planning update committee, and then finally to the Board of Selectmen. So I have been cleared to issue that RFP, which I will be doing over the next couple of weeks. The historic commercial facade and sign program, I also believe I may have mentioned this to you. That actually, we had our opening meetings in March, I think a week prior to the shutdown. And obviously we've pulled the plug or kind of mothballed that program. Since then, our challenge is, if and when is it appropriate to re-engage small business owners and property owners located in the two villages and try to get them to, take time to express interest and apply for that $10,000 grant to do facade and signage improvements. So at this time, we don't think it's the right time to try to engage those small business owners and property owners. But I would certainly look to this committee for their insight as to whether you think now or the next several months is a good time to try to re-engage. Couple other items that are kind of town-wide interest, not directly related to economic development, but the town is currently in the process of considering two very large open space acquisitions. This is in front of the Community Preservation Commission. They will be holding a public meeting to do executive session on July 15th. These two open spaces, the first one is Misty Meadows, which was previously approved by the planning board for a 6-lot cluster subdivision on about 10 acres. And then there was an additional 26 acres of wetlands, primarily wetlands, that was going to be donated to the town. That is in Chapter 61 land, which is essentially land that's designated and taxed as agricultural land at a significant reduced tax rate. And in exchange for that reduced tax rate, if and when the property owner chooses to sell their property, the town has right of first refusal. The second piece is also a Chapter 61 land. This is known as the Pole Farm. This is located on Acton Road, just outside the center. Both of these properties are approximately 50 acres each. Both would likely be developed as cluster subdivisions with approximately 6 to 8 house lots, and the rest of the land is primarily wet or undevelopable. So those are the two very significant agricultural properties that the town is currently considering. you'll likely begin to hear more about it, primarily because if and when the town chooses to acquire either one or both of these, it will require a town meeting vote of approval. There's consideration for calling a special town meeting sometime in August, specifically to address these two potential town acquisitions. Next item is just general housing developments. 50 Hunt Road, which is a 84 unit 40B, is currently under construction at the corner of Hunt and Littleton Road. 104 Turnpike is pretty much 100% built and 100% occupied, including the affordable units. Gristmill 1 is 100% sold and occupied. That was a townhouse ownership project. The final housing project I want to mention to you is the potential redevelopment of the UMass West campus. The lead developer at this point, Hanover Companies, which is a national REIT rental apartment developer, is currently scheduled to appear before the Board of Selectmen on July 13th. That should be a Monday, I believe, the 13th. They've already conducted with the Board of Selectmen kind of a meet and greet as a Zoom meeting. We've had one offline meeting with them to kind of discuss permitting options moving forward. The purpose of the meeting on July 13th is to engage the Board of Selectmen and the full board in a public venue to begin to discuss permitting options and the board's preference, as well as the scope and scale and concept of the proposed redevelopment project. I can tell you that that is probably or very likely one of the largest housing projects in the history of Chelmsford. It's a 35-acre parcel that 25 are buildable. As you recall, it was purchased at auction for $3.2 million. That price does not include the probably upwards of $1.5 million of cleanup and demolition and hazardous mitigation. So you can understand the scope and scale of a economically viable investment to make any project work there. Two final topics. Next one is the sewer capacity. Over the last 12 months and increasingly over the last several months, the town has been indicating that its sewer capacity is reaching its limits. Our limits are based upon DEP permitting, not primarily at the local level, but at the regional treatment plant in Lowell, where all of our wastewater goes to. We have a daily limit within that regional plant. Historically, some time ago, the town of Chelmsford sold some of its capacity to Tingsboro. So at this point, with all of the multifamily projects that have been built over the last decade, we have, we're pushing the permitted limit on sewer capacity. DPW has commissioned a study that will provide an up-to-date status report that will be reported out to the Board of Selectmen at an upcoming meeting. Much of the recent dialogue associated with this issue, there's more questions than answers. Obviously, one of the questions is, well, what does it mean and what happens moving forward? And conceptually, the town has indicated there's a variety of long-term, short-term and long-term solutions. Some are local and some are regional. Some would not cost the town anything, and others would be very expensive. Just to give you examples, short-term options that don't cost the town anything is to allow on-site treatment plants. That's essentially how Westford operates. So any large-scale multifamily project, a commercial project in Westford has their own private treatment plant. Those are regulated by DEP. Long-term and expensive options would be to purchase additional capacity at the regional plant. So all of everything that I've mentioned, including, housing and sewer, kind of wraps into the master plan update process. As I had mentioned to you previously when we were meeting, the 2010 master plan is currently being updated by a 2020 master planning update committee. They were moving along, pretty effectively until COVID. They haven't met since COVID, but their next meeting is scheduled for I think it's July 16th. They're working with NIMCOG to do this 10-year update. They have begun reviewing the economic development section along with housing and land use. If you recall, we did a survey. Hopefully many of you filled out that survey and submitted online. We've received over 1,000 responses. Many of those responses included detailed written comments. So the committee at their next meeting will be reviewing the results of that survey and seeing how those results can help the committee determine action items as well as recommendations for the next decade related to economic development, land use, housing, open space, things of that nature. So those are my updates to the committee. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
For 58 Hunt Road, you said it's an 84 unit development, and I pass by there very regularly. It looks like this year maybe occupancy. What are you thinking in terms of that? Because we've been talking about it a little bit at the school committee and what the impact might be. So what do you think on that, Heaven?
It's 3 buildings.
Okay. Yeah.
And typically they'll phase occupancy. So I would say definitely by the end of the calendar year,
Mm-hmm.
very, very likely that at least one building would be occupied. Whether that's prior to the beginning of the school year, it could be done, but I don't want to commit to that at this point. I could reach out and get you better information. Yep.
That would be lovely. Can I just email you and just check
absolutely
with you?
Yep.
I appreciate that a lot. We're concerned on this because, we have to create a plan for how to reopen the schools. And let's say we suddenly have, 10 or 15 more students. That is a serious issue in an elementary level, especially for us. So thank you. I'll email you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right then. Lisa, do you have anything else additional to add?
No, I think I covered most of the major things that are happening. I'm sure there's a few other little, smaller things. Evan and I did work together on submitting an application to the Shared Streets and Open Spaces program that MassDOT offered. So we submitted that late last week and we're waiting to hear. So the idea is on Summer Street to provide some upgrades for connectivity and just rejuvenation, streetscaping, furniture, continuation of Evan's efforts in Center and what some of that wayfinding and uplifting, permanent fixtures. We're looking to try to connect Summer Street in with Center Village. So we did submit that to include an engineering drawing because we've been working on this for a long time, but this funding opportunity came along. So we're really hopeful that that might come through. So that was one other thing, but that's it.
So there's been obviously a lot of positive movement in the center. Have you all had any other further feedback or any information on burying the power lines in the center? Have you heard anything recently?
The most recent plan is to proceed down Chelmsford Street. And I believe that's in combination with a state transportation project to put on-street parking as well as some curb cut management and improve drainage in that roadway. And I want to say it's about a $12 million project in totality. It's in the queue, and I believe it's probably a 3-year horizon. The reason that the undergrounding is piggybacking on that project is that as far as undergrounding dollars that are part of your were part of your monthly surcharge, going down Chelmsford Street is the easiest. It's the biggest bang for the buck at this point. The challenge with continuing through the center is the brook, and those. If you look closely at those poles, particularly the one at the corner of Cushing Place, those are about $1 million a pole. There's major trunk lines on those poles, so either depressing it under the brook, very, very expensive proposition. So I think the town's vision at this point for using the surcharge money is to go down Chelmsford Street and piggyback on that transportation project.
Good. Have you heard anything about the hotels in Chelmsford?
The what?
Hotels?
Oh, hotels.
Yeah.
I haven't specifically. I haven't heard anything.
And what about any small businesses that you think, might be struggling or?
I haven't heard anything specifically, but I think as well as Massachusetts has done, and particularly Chelmsford has done, today's Boston Globe talked about the worst is yet to come. And that kind of caught me off guard. I think we've all been lulled into this, rightfully so, this positive momentum because we've all done the right thing in this state and we've all supported our local businesses, and many of them in Chelmsford have remained open. But I think the fear moving forward, and Lisa can probably articulate this better, is that even if we can get through the summer without having a setback, fall into winter are tough for businesses to begin with. So, I think many of the programs that Lisa and I, worked on supporting small businesses, I think are going to be even more critical moving into, third and fourth quarter and into the winter, particularly with, whatever may happen with COVID.
Right.
The other bigger issue I see happening is that the programs that are coming out from the higher level, the federal or state, they're all loan programs, and none of these businesses can take on more debt. They're trying to mitigate and manage their existing debt, and they don't know what their outlook is, and no one is eager to take on more loans to pay back, and there seems to be extremely minimal grants that are becoming extremely competitive. So we haven't reached the bottom of this. I know there are definitely Chelmsford businesses that are struggling. Particularly I hear from the small food entities that can't offer outdoor dining and can't necessarily open with the limited indoor capacity. It doesn't make financial sense for them to do so. I know we're going to lose some businesses. I'm not sure who they are just yet, but it's still pretty, like Evan had said, it's still pretty dire. Everybody's trying to think positive, and we're trying to emphasize where we can. but we're still in, I still feel like I'm in crisis mode, trying to
Right.
provide support, but it's really a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Sure. Anybody else have any other questions? Any closing thoughts or comments?
Just to add to what Lisa just said in terms of what might come might be more dire. Tomorrow night, we have a meeting and we'll be discussing the results of a survey that we did of families to see what percent may be thinking that they're not going to send their kids to school even if we reopen. And a lot of people want us to reopen because it really does impact the quality of the education that the child gets. And we're looking at about 10% of the respondents who said they would not be sending their children to school. So people are scared and people are concerned about what the future is going to look like in terms of being able to stay safe. Despite the fact that many families do want the schools to reopen, there's a high percentage that do have that fear.
That's an interesting dilemma.
Oh yes, it's
Yeah.
going to be fun.
Yeah.
But I'll leave the businesses to you guys.
Yeah, right. We'll leave the schools to you.
This is
My
So
closing
ba-
message to the EDC is, I would strongly encourage you to continue to taking a leadership role in economic development activities in the town of Chelmsford. I think many of the topics that Lisa and I have updated you on are a result of your leadership. And I think you understand the importance of continuing to take that leadership role. The town, if you tune into select board or planning board meetings, the town is, for lack of a better word, in a period of transition. Many of these items that we've talked about are very important. I think the EDC has been a stable and credible entity providing input to appointed elected officials. I think you've been effective and influential at town meeting. And that's going to need to continue, particularly moving forward in the near term. So, as I said, I would encourage you to continue doing doing a good work.
And thank you, Evan. May I just say that it is all the easier when we have good quality professional leadership like you and Lisa.
Appreciate that.
Steer the ship in the right direction. We're very, very fortunate.
This is a good committee.
Thank you very much.
Lisa and I enjoy working with you people.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of great teamwork, and it's just, you feel supported. So it's you're not as hesitant to try to push even harder for things because you know that you've got the backing and the support to keep going. Yeah.
Good deal. So before we adjourn, let's think about August. And should we get together in August? I think yes, we should. Just check in, get an update. If nothing more, to see where we are with COVID. Is there Michael says yes from Michael. Yeah. Is there any vacation plans? Any vacation plans? Life is a vacation at the moment.
Nobody's going anywhere.
Yeah, right. No one's going anywhere. So any staycation plans? Is there a good day or week to meet in August?
Anytime.
Like the first week of August? Is that, or second week?
I would say for me, after the middle of the month would be better.
Middle of the month?
After, say, around the 15th. I'm trying to get my calendar out.
Yeah, 15th is Saturday.
15th is a Saturday.
15th is Saturday.
Week of the 17th. Maria, if the schools come back online, when will that happen?
You're muted, Maria. You're still muted, Maria.
They'd like to do that to me at school committee. That was okay. So anyway, it's before Labor Day. So towards the last week of August, we would already be starting. We don't know our form yet, so I'll just fit in to whatever you're doing. And I know that I will be again the designee to this committee.
Oh,
from
good.
Good.
Okay, so I'm looking
That's
forward to it. I love
fantastic.
this. The news I got today is just absolutely phenomenal. I'm so happy as a town person.
So let's plan for the week of the 17th.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Or day, that's better for everyone.
Pretty open.
Pretty open.
Tuesday is always my issue. So
Tuesday's an issue, you say?
that's usually when we meet. So
Yeah,
Okay.
I have another committee meeting on Tuesday, so I have a conflict.
Okay. Do the Board of Selectmen, are they going to meet on Monday the 17th or? Yeah, Monday the 17th.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
That would be within their cycle.
Yeah, it's in their cycle though,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Does this Monday work for people? Maybe we can do the 24th.
Yep.
Perfect.
That work?
Just remember that there may be a special town meeting in August, which likely takes place on a Monday.
All right. So why don't we just tentatively plan for August 24th? And we'll go with that and we'll see what happens.
Okay,
Does that work for everybody?
yes.
Yep.
All right. Next meeting is August 24th. Will we still be Zooming, you believe, in August, Evan and Lisa?
I believe by then committees will be allowed to meet in person. That actually, I believe, is taking place tomorrow night at school committee.
Mhm.
So yes, plan
You
on
guys are coming together in person tomorrow night, Maria?
Wow.
Yes.
it's in person tomorrow.
Wow, cool. Okay.
Yeah. We get to look at each other.
Hmm.
So if EDC members are comfortable with that, that would likely
Yes.
will be an option.
All right. All right.
Just pick a large enough space.
Yeah. Where would we do it?
Well, let's see where we are in August because I don't know.
Who
I mean,
knows?
I'm a little concerned what's going to happen after this holiday weekend and what the number's going to look like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Right.
I hope we don't regress. So we'll plan to meet August 24th and a location to be determined. All right. Any
Okay.
other thoughts or questions?
Thank you so much.
We do need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Second? Second? John, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Okay,
Good night.
bye.
Good
Thank you, Evan and Lisa.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.